I've spent a good part of my life studying how the human body ages, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. The years between 75 and 85 are not a slow surrender. They can be some of the most alive, clear, and independent years a person ever lives. But here's what almost nobody tells you. The speed at which we age in this window is shaped far less by the calendar than by the small, ordinary choices we repeat every single day. I want to sit with you for a few minutes and talk, the way I'd talk to my own family, about the quiet habits that age us faster than we realize, and the simple corrections that can change everything. Most people assume that getting older means decline is automatic, that aches, forgetfulness, and frailty are simply the price of living long. I understand why it feels that way, but the science tells a more hopeful story. Our bodies are constantly repairing themselves, rebuilding blood vessels, clearing damaged cells, strengthening tissue. What determines whether that repair keeps up with the wear and tear isn't luck. It's the daily pattern of how we move, eat, rest, and connect. And along the way, I've watched the same handful of mistakes show up again and again. Mistakes that look harmless in the moment, but repeated over the years, quietly accelerate aging from the inside. The first one is the one I see most often, and it's deceptively simple: sitting too long. Many people believe that if they take a short walk now and then, they've done their part, but the body doesn't work that way. When we stay seated for hours, in front of the television, at the table, in a favorite chair, circulation slows, blood pools in the legs, and the muscles that hold us upright begin to weaken faster than we'd ever expect at this age. Muscle is not just about strength, it's about balance, about staying steady, about getting up from a chair without fear of falling. The danger isn't only the lack of exercise, it's the stillness itself. The good news is that you don't need a gym. Standing up every 30 or 40 minutes, walking to the window, stretching your legs, doing a few slow movements throughout the day, that gentle, frequent motion keeps blood flowing and signals your muscles to stay alive and ready. Movement scattered across the whole day protects you more than one hard effort, followed by hours of sitting. The second mistake lives on the plate. Over the years, it's easy to drift toward foods that are convenient, packaged, processed, sweet, and soft. But a diet heavy in ultra-processed products, added sugar, and low-quality fats does something invisible. It keeps the body in a state of low, constant inflammation. I want you to picture inflammation like a small fire that never fully goes out. Day after day, it irritates the lining of your blood vessels, stresses the heart, and even reaches the brain, where it's been linked to memory loss and slower thinking. The remarkable thing is how responsive the body is when you change course. Real food, vegetables, fruits, beans, fish, olive oil, foods with color and fiber, actually calms that fire. You don't need a perfect diet. You need a pattern, repeated often enough that your body spends more days healing than inflaming. Small choices, made consistently, compound into something powerful over the years. The third mistake is one of the most dangerous precisely because it's silent, ignoring small rises in blood pressure. High blood pressure rarely announces itself. There's often no headache, no warning, no symptom at all, and that's exactly what makes it so harmful. While you feel completely fine, elevated pressure is slowly straining your arteries, day after day, year after year, stiffening and damaging the very vessels that feed your heart, your kidneys, and your brain. Over time, that quiet pressure raises the risk of stroke, heart disease, and cognitive decline. This is why I never dismiss a reading that's just a little high. A little high, sustained over years, is not little at all. I know that when I talk about this, many of you ask the same question: what can I actually do to protect my heart and keep my blood pressure in a healthy range? Because this matters so much, I've left a guide in the first link in the description with clear, practical guidance on improving blood pressure and supporting cardiovascular health. Think of it not as something to buy, but as a continuation of this conversation, a way to go deeper on the one system that touches everything else in the body. The fourth mistake is treating sleep as optional. As we age, it's common to sleep less, wake more often, and assume that poor rest is just part of growing old. But sleep is when the deepest repair happens. While you rest, your brain clears away waste it accumulated during the day. Your memories are filed and strengthened. Your immune system recalibrates, and your heart and blood vessels get a genuine chance to recover. Chronically shallow or broken sleep robs you of all of that. Protecting your rest, a consistent bedtime, a dark and cool room, less screen light at night, gentle daytime activity to earn your tiredness, isn't a luxury. It's one of the most underrated forms of medicine you have, and it costs nothing. The fifth mistake surprises people, simply not drinking enough water. Here's something the body does that few of us are warned about. As we get older, the sensation of thirst naturally fades. You can be mildly dehydrated and not feel thirsty at all. And mild ongoing dehydration quietly thickens the blood, strains the kidneys, lowers blood pressure too far in some, and even clouds thinking and concentration. I've seen confusion and dizziness in older adults vanish with nothing more than steady, gentle hydration. The fix is humble but real. Sip water through the day, keep a glass within sight, and don't wait to feel thirsty before you drink, because at this age, thirst arrives late. The sixth mistake is avoidance, skipping the regular checkups and preventive exams. I deeply understand the instinct to stay away, to not go looking for bad news. But the quiet truth of medicine is that the conditions which steal independence after 75 almost always begin silently, long before symptoms appear. Blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, bone density, vision, hearing. When these are watched and caught early, they are far easier to manage and far less likely to turn into something serious. Prevention isn't about fear. It's about staying one step ahead so that small problems are corrected while they're still small. And the seventh mistake is one that doesn't show up in any blood test, yet shapes how we age more than almost anything else: withdrawing from the world. Isolation and a lack of mental stimulation quietly speed the decline of both mood and mind. When the days grow quiet and the conversations grow few, the brain, like a muscle that isn't used, begins to lose its sharpness, and the spirit grows heavy. Connection is not sentimental advice, it is biology. Staying in touch with people you love, learning something new, keeping your hands and mind busy, having a reason to get up in the morning, these things measurably protect memory, emotional health, and resilience. A life with purpose and people ages slower than a life that has gone silent. When I step back and look at all seven together, I see a single encouraging message. So much of how we age is still in our hands. None of these corrections require money or willpower you don't have, or a dramatic change to who you are. They ask only for small, repeated choices, a little more movement, a little more real food, a little more attention to your heart, your rest, your water, your checkups, and your relationships. And because the heart sits at the center of nearly all of it, I'll remind you once more: if you want to go further on protecting your blood pressure and your cardiovascular health, that guide in the first link in the description is there for you. A simple, practical companion to everything we've talked about today, for anyone ready to put it into practice. So let me answer plainly the question this conversation began with. The 7 daily mistakes that quietly speed up aging between 75 and 85 are these: staying seated for long stretches of the day, eating too many ultra-processed foods, sugar, and poor fats, ignoring small rises in blood pressure, sleeping poorly, drinking too little water, skipping preventive exams and checkups, and living with too little social and mental stimulation. 7 ordinary habits and 7 ordinary corrections. Aging well in these years is not decided by your age alone, and not even by your genetics. It is decided most of all by what you choose to do again and again on the unremarkable days. Small, consistent changes are what preserve your mobility, your memory, your heart, your independence, and your joy, not for a moment, but for many good years to come. If this gave you something worth holding on to, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe to the channel. I'm continuing this journey one conversation at a time, and there's so much more I want to share with you about living these years with strength and clarity. Stay with me, and I'll see you in the next one.